Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show and welcome to TechTO. My name is Liz. I'm a producer here at TechTO. And on behalf of our team and our friends at RBC, I am thrilled to welcome you to this very special event celebrating women in technology. We have an amazing show for you today. Let me tell you what is happening. First, we're welcoming Tamar Hudgens-Grant to the stage for a fireside chat. Tamar is the founder and executive director of TechSpark Canada, Canada's first technology and curriculum design school committed to empowering students, women, and teachers through culturally relevant and equitable tech education. That conversation is being hosted by Kim Prado, Global Head of Client, Banking, and Digital Technology at RBC. We're really looking forward to that starting in just a few minutes. After that conversation, we will be opening up our mentor circles. You can check out some amazing conversations that are being led by our great friends at RBC. We have career management tactics with Christine. We have agile in practice with Shore. We have Mira hosting a room on enabling the next generation of women leaders. We have Shazan exploring entrepreneurship to corporate innovation. And we have Penny sharing details on pivoting into tech. And at the end of the show, we'll have a chance to meet one another in networking and share how we can all best support one another and grow together. Now, if you're watching with us on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, we're so happy you're joining us, and you can join in on all of the fun by logging into the event at techto.org/livestreams. Still so much time to come join us and take part in those mentor circles and all the other fun stuff that we have going on, because we want all of you to engage and take part in today's conversations. Here are some best practices for getting involved in today's show. So for those of you watching with us in venue, we want to hear how much you're enjoying today's conversations, but obviously we can't hear you clapping at your screen. I know that you're all clapping right now. You're so excited for this to get started, but what you can do to let us know if you're having a good time is click on those emojis that you see on the side of your screen. We have a very special International Women's Day emoji cannon lined up for you today. So send us some women in crowns, send us some dancing ladies, some happy faces, however you're feeling. I'm seeing lots of celebration faces being clicked right now. I'm also seeing some lovely dancing ladies being sent. Keep those emojis coming. If you're watching with us on social media like LinkedIn, you can also send us some emojis as well to let us know what you think of today's conversation. Really feeling the love, lots of excitement to get today started. Most of you have already found the chat on the right-hand side of your screen. Keep introducing yourself and letting us know what you think of the conversation. We might be posting some of your chats live on the screen for everyone to see. So make sure that you're involved, and you might see yourself up on the TechTO stage. This one is super important, so listen up if you're inside venue today. On the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see a big button with a question mark. That is where you can submit your questions during our fireside conversation. Now, if you see a question that you really want answered, make sure that you hit that thumbs up button to vote for that question to be answered live. The rest of the questions you submit, we will be answering after the show. And if you're registered for the event, you'll be receiving those answers over email. And the most important thing to do is to make sure you're having fun. Take some screenshots of your favorite moments and post them on Twitter and LinkedIn using the hashtag TechTO. We'll be on Twitter throughout the show responding to your tweets. And of course, after the show, we'll be loving to read back all of your amazing thoughts. But before we begin our amazing conversation, we have a very special welcome lined up for you. I'm so thrilled to be welcoming Bruce and Karen from RBC to the stage to deliver some welcoming remarks.
Well, thank you very much, Liz. It's really great to be here, and thanks for that really energized welcome. I especially like the fact that you want to make sure we have fun. And I think in today's world, with technology, the amazing things that we can do with it, having fun is an essential aspect of what we do every day. I'm really thrilled to be able to join you, my colleague Karen Morrison, to really kick off and open the event up for the rest of the day. We're here to celebrate innovation led by women in the Canadian tech sector. And you're going to get to hear from some absolutely amazing women technologists throughout the course of this session. But we're also here to talk about the future of technology in Canada and how we can challenge ourselves to be even better than we have been, and to actually start launching more and more of these new great tech companies in the world. Why not they be from Canada? But not only that, but also to ensure that we're inclusive, we're accessible, and we represent the great diversity of this country and of the clients that we serve. At RBC, we've been on a transformational journey for the last 7 years. We've been creating what we call the digitally enabled relationship bank. And it's been all about serving 17 million clients across 36 countries, 5 different businesses, and creating completely new digital capabilities and platforms for those clients to create great experiences and a great day. But beyond all the technology and the application of that technology, the most important thing to us is our people. A great team will create great outcomes. And for us, we've been focused on building a global, diverse team in all its respects. And I'm really proud of that team. It's diverse, it's inclusive, and it's gender balanced. And we take these, goals of becoming a 50-50 gender parity in our organization extremely seriously. And we're very focused on it in all of our programs, whether it's our student programs, recruiting, the growth of our people within our business. These are all things that come into play. And we really want to make sure that we leverage all of the capability in this great country of ours and beyond as we build our team. Now, when I talk about RBC, I mean, I can't help but tell you it is a really great place to work. And I would say it's really because of 3 key things. One is access to leading technologies. As a great big organization, a bank, we've invested over $20 billion in technology in the last 4.5 years. And what we're doing is we're investing in cyber and digital, obviously to protect the client and give them new capabilities, but also artificial intelligence and DevOps and big data, because we believe that the insight that we can provide to the clients is greater than anybody else's as long as we're applying it. So all of these leading edge and innovative side of things is key and important to us. It's also, though, about meaningful work. We represent a huge number of Canadians, almost every single household in the country. And our responsibility goes beyond earnings per share, but it comes to the social responsibility of ensuring that we hand the planet from us to our children in a way that we would hope to have received it. Dealing with climate change, dealing with diversity challenges, and making sure that we continue to contribute to the fabric of this country. In addition to that, we've built what we call our engineering culture. And our engineering culture has 3 aspects to it. Curiosity, try things, innovation. Don't always have to do things the way it was done before. Second is bold ambition, setting the bar high and then looking at how we jump over it. And third is outcome focused, things that matter, and being able to build things that people can consume, 12 plus million clients on any given day. The third aspect that we're really proud of is our unique career journeys. We don't believe that you should need to know or understand exactly what you want into on the day you join the bank, but that you should be able to experience different opportunities and capabilities and learn from one another in order to be able to create the career path that's right for you. Because with the amount of change that's going on in technology today, how could anyone ever assume that what they learn in university or in college is going to be the thing that carries them through out? It's having a learning organization that provides the experiences and opportunities to innovate and create, which is going to create great outcomes. And underlying all that, as I said before, is our people. Now, as I think about, what we're going to talk about today and, women in technology, I think of a couple of different role models that I've had in my own career. First of all, I was fortunate enough to work at IBM for over 28 years, and I worked directly for Ginny Rometty, the past CEO of the company. And what Ginny taught me very clearly was about, the importance of communication, the importance of setting a strategy, making it simple, and then communicating it 1,000,000 times clearly, because you were never on your own the most important person in the room. It was the strength of the team that mattered. And with Ginny, it was all about that, but it was also about a higher purpose. And, at IBM, we were talking about things that, innovation, or one of our values was innovation that matters for the planet as well as the company. So setting that bar high. She's actually the one that taught me about setting bold ambition. So it's great working for her. One of my colleagues that at RBC that I have great respect for is Laurie Pizzenti. Laurie is the Senior Vice President responsible for IT, risk, and cyber. And yes, Lori is in my group, but I have wonderful respect for her leadership and constant innovation and change around a very dynamic area. And so she's always focused on what's the team of the future need to look like to handle the challenges we have. But in addition to that, Lori is all about the team and how does she continue to build strong and diverse teams. So there are just two role models of mine, and one of the women on our team that's I'm extraordinarily proud of is Karen Morrison. And so what I'm going to do is hand it over to you, Karen, to take it from here.
Thanks, Bruce. So I've been at RBC for just about 23 years now, and I've seen and lived through a lot of the technology changes that Bruce just talked about. I've been very proud to see how the roles of women in tech have changed and how the leadership opportunities have changed and grown as well. Today, we wanted to recognize leaders that have blazed the trail before us, including the men that see the value of diversity and inclusion and have provided the mentorship and support. And in my case, it was Bruce, and Lori, as he also referenced as well. We need leaders to advocate for the change, and we need the women in these roles to feel confident and supported, and to do what may feel at some points in your career like a risky move in a technology role, but just do it. Know you've got the confidence and know that you'll either have or gain the support you need around you to do that. There's one thing I've always focused on in my career as a female in technology, and that was about being authentic to who I am. So 23 years ago in application development and infrastructure, the female role models I had that were in leadership roles, I found, I even thought at them, but I look back on it, they had to carry themselves in a manner that wasn't probably authentic to who they were. Quite honestly, it was you acted and dressed and carried yourself with male type characteristics and capabilities, because that was deemed what was successful back then. Those days are gone. With the amount of focus on diversity and inclusion, not just at RBC, but socially acceptable across everywhere right now, you know you've got the strength and ability to be who you are and be proud of it. So for myself, you know, being feminine and smart and curious and competitive are capabilities that can coexist together. And my guidance and ask to all of the women out there today is to have that same belief, right? Stay true to who you are and know that you've got the ability to go and drive into new leadership roles across technology. I recently was honored to take on a co-chair role of the Women in Technology with my co-chair, Sheree, who's leading one of the breakout sessions today. And one of the things that we've recently launched with Bruce's support is the MARC Dialogue. So that's men advocating for real change. It's looking not just at how other females help females, but how we leverage people of all diverse backgrounds to help support and remove the barriers to diversity and inclusion at RBC. You know, I'll leave with my favorite quote I always like to bring up and reference throughout the year, but especially on International Women's Day. And today is, times change because of the ones that create the change.
Thank you so much to both of you. What an amazing way to kick off the show. And I know how special it is to have you both joining us today. So thank you, thank you, thank you. The chat is loving this conversation, and we're only going to continue these amazing conversations from here. We're about to kick off the fireside with Tamar and Kim. But first and foremost, the most important message that we can tell you all today is that this is a celebration of all of you as much as it is everyone that is producing and you'll see on stage today. So we want to celebrate each and every single one of you watching. Head over to the chat now and share what you are celebrating today and every day so we can all celebrate with you. Hype yourself up. This is your chance to be celebrated and you deserve the praise. Make sure to show some love to everybody else in the chat, and we will be reading and posting some of your responses live in venue. I'll get things started while we wait for some of your responses to come in. Today, I'm celebrating hanging out with all of you, hosting this amazing event and working with our friends at RBC. Secret, this is actually my first time hosting by myself on the TechTO stage, and what an amazing opportunity to do it with all of you. So keep those responses coming in the chat. I see some people are celebrating warmer days in Toronto. Absolutely. Celebrating learning something new every day, loving the sunshine. I love it. Let's keep those coming. Keep some professional celebrations coming, some personal celebrations coming. You know, if you got some makeup on your face today, that's a celebration. If you decided that you looked good exactly as you did rolling out of bed, that deserves celebrating as well. Carol's impressed by the genuine conversation. That's worth celebrating. Women in engineering, absolutely worth celebrating as well. Keep those coming. We are going to get the fireside started now, and we want to keep reading your thoughts, your questions, and your celebrations all throughout the event. So I am so pleased to welcome the absolutely phenomenal inspiring, amazing. Kim and Tamar, they're going to be spilling the tea, drinking some tea, and having a great time for the next part of the show. Help me welcome Tamar and Kim by sending some emojis in the chat now. And Kim, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here today, having my tea with Tamar. And yes, today will be awesome, as you can see from my mug. Anyhow, moving on, Tamar, we are so thrilled that you're here joining us today. Can you share a bit about who you are and your work with TechSpark Canada?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kim. Excited to be here with everyone. One of the first things and most important things that I've recently learned last year, actually, was the importance of being able to tell someone who we are without using our titles. And so I'd like the opportunity to be able to do that with you. So I am an architect, I am a maestro, and I'm a creative thinker. I am a change agent and a problem solver that produces good things for humanity. And the way that those characteristics manifest are in multiple different ways, but today I'm showing up as the CEO and founder of TechSpark Canada, Canada's first technology and design company that's really committed to creating inclusion and equity across tech education across Canada and the US. And I was the first Black woman to lead the diversity in tech movement here in Canada. I started the first tech accelerator for underrepresented founders, Driven Accelerator Group. That was back in 2012. And that led me to then creating TechSpark Canada, which we saw really a huge need for young people to get involved in the creation and innovation space. And I'm happy to do it. And I love the work that I do every single day.
Thanks, Tamar. The work you're doing with TechSpark is very inspirational. It's just amazing how you're making an impact on diverse youth to pursue technology. To introduce myself, my name is Kim Prado, obviously, and I am the head of client banking and digital technology for RBC Capital Markets. My team delivers client-focused solutions to all lines of business, including fixed income, commodities and currencies, equities, investment banking, global credit, just to name a few. Our overall mission of our team is threefold: to help RBC enhance the brand by delivering customized content, deliver opportunities with next generation intelligence, and truly personalize the client experience. So basically, at the end of the day, we unlock insights through data. So before we dive in the spirit of International Women's Day, are there any women in your life that have empowered you throughout your career that you'd like to recognize?
Absolutely. So I'd love to start with 5 women. And I know that there are more, but there are 5 that stand out the most. The first being my Aunt Inez. She raised me and showed me what unconditional love looks and feels like. And because of that, I am the person that I am today, the woman and the mother that I am today. And I'm so grateful for her and for her life. And I would also like to recognize my older sister, Wendy, who taught me how to be eloquent, smart, intelligent, ambitious. And she really created the space for me to grow and flourish as a young child. We have a huge age gap, so I learned a lot of wisdom from her. And the third would be my grade 7 teacher, Mrs. Blake. She was the first Black teacher that I ever had. And she always set the bar of expectation higher for me than everyone else in the class. I was the only Black student in all of my classes in elementary school. And so she really made sure that she worked with me very closely. And I really appreciate everything that I've learned from her. Angela Benton, who is my mentor, and she is definitely a trailblazer in the diversity and technology sector in the United States. She has created amazing programs, supported a lot of entrepreneurs, and is really what I modeled my career from when I first began in the accelerator space. And last but not least, Claudette McGowan. Claudette McGowan is a mentor and someone who I would also consider a friend as well. And she shows me how a woman who is powerful and influential can still be humble and kind and loving towards everyone. It's something that women, anyone really who's in leadership, really need to understand, that it doesn't take or cost much to be kind and show kindness and respect to others, regardless of your position in life and what you've accomplished. And she reminds me of that every time I speak to her.
Wow, that's very inspiring. Incredible. You've been very fortunate to have so many wonderful mentors in your life, Tamar. Really, really amazing. You know, when I look back, I think about, you know, the women that inspired me. And really, I just want to mention one, and that is my mother, actually. You know, the other day I was going through some pictures and I came across a photo of her and her female colleagues from the 1980s, believe it or not. And I found it so inspiring. It was her and 3 other women at Sony Corporation, where they were system managers, programmers, database analysts back in the 80s, literally pioneering change for women like us today. And when I asked her, I said, really, what got you out of bed in the morning, right? Mm-hmm. How did you do this? How did you deal with being the only women around the table? You know what she said to me? We stuck together. We had each other's back, and we didn't let anybody come between us. So I guess when you think about it, thanks to women like her and the pioneering spirit in them, they were closing the gap for young women, to come in this industry.
Right.
So I feel very fortunate.
Amazing. We have to stick together. It's us against the world.
It really is. It really, really is. So I'd like to talk a bit about your career growth. We share the experience of being one of the first women to break through in our respective industries. Tamar, tell me, what has that journey been like for you?
So for the most part, the journey, being the first woman, is always going to be challenging. It's always challenging being the first, but also very rewarding. And so I would say the same is true for my career. I would say, though, that some of the challenges that I experienced early on was just really around, who I was and why I was doing the work that I was doing. Whenever you come into a systematic problem or systemic issue and try to create a solution, those who benefit from the challenges will always challenge the person who comes in with a solution. And so that was the first experience that I had in my early career. I remember when we first launched our organization, we had this amazing feature in the Globe and Mail, and we got a lot of press from it. It was the first time, we were ever in any type of press, national press. And I had someone mention to me, did you check the comments? And I said, no, I didn't. I don't really check the comments. Everybody's like, I think you need to check the comments. So I went onto the website and I was looking at the comments, scrolling through, and I was so shocked and surprised to see how many men were threatened by the work that I was doing. I mean, I was accused of reverse racism. I had people saying that it wasn't fair, that, we were creating this space that was inclusive. They thought that the fact that we were focusing on women and people of color, that it was an issue and that they should be involved in those spaces. And for me, when I got into technology, it wasn't because I was trying to use it as a platform to launch another career or because I was riding a wave. I got into technology, specifically education, because I wanted to make a difference. I saw a gap and I wanted to fill that. And so I went ahead, regardless of what people said, I just pushed through because for me, I knew that this was a lane I was supposed to be in. And I feel like a lot of the success that I've had throughout my career is because I understand the lane that I'm in. And not only do I play within it, but I dominate it.
That is incredible. So inspirational. I absolutely love it. I love that you dominate it. That's awesome. That is so awesome. When I joined RBC Capital Markets in New York back in 2006, there were approximately 60 people in total on the floor. And it was so challenging getting the business up and running. But in my tenure, RBC became a primary dealer in the US, and our office has grown exponentially. And I became the first female managing director in technology.
Amazing.
I'm really, really proud of how hard of my work, right? And how hard I've had to work in such a crazy environment. But I will say, you know, it hasn't been handed to me, right? Like I've had to work front and center, swim in the Shark Tank every single day to get my seat at the table. And when I tell you I hold my ground in that seat, I hold my ground. And I think if I can give one message out to the folks listening to the it's, you know, young adults out there, it's do not let anyone knock you down. Do not let anyone tell you that you're not smart enough or you can't do it, because there's nothing you can't learn. And, you know, similar to you, I didn't go to, you know, technology wasn't my first career. I worked on the business side as a trader, actually, and I accidentally made my way into tech, and I absolutely love it. But it wasn't handed to me, and I can't say that enough. You can't give up. You got to persevere. And that really takes me into the next question for you, which is, before the event, you said something very powerful, that being a successful entrepreneur takes perseverance, perhaps more than other skills. What are some of the key moments of your career where perseverance and resilience have pushed you forward, and what did you learn along the way?
So excellent question. Excellent question. It was actually Steve Jobs who said that perseverance is one of the skills that entrepreneurs need the most. And when he said that to me, when I was watching it and I heard him speak those words to me, I thought, that's true. We really need perseverance as entrepreneurs, especially when you're a woman of color. There are so many barriers that we face that people don't really understand. And so when I started TechSpark back in 2012, it was just an idea. There was this opportunity for us to pitch a new idea with this funding organization, a really big funding organization across Ontario. And we had to share the idea with the hopes of getting it funded. Now, the challenge for me at that time, I was actually dealing with something very personal. My aunt, who I had mentioned previously, had passed away the week before. And I said, you know what, I don't think I can go to, this workshop that you're having, but can you make an exception and can I still apply? And they said, unfortunately, no. So I had to go all the way to Waterloo and just work through it, work through my emotions and work through, what I was building. And so for me, that's where that emotional or personal perseverance had come through, because if I hadn't done that, I probably wouldn't be where I am at this point. And what really pushed me through that was that as she was passing away, she had cancer, and she kept calling for me and asking for me. And one of the things that she said to me just over and over, she just kept saying, you are the winner. You are the winner. She just kept saying over and over and over. And I didn't really understand what it was that she was saying, but I understand it now. And I feel like that word of encouragement helped me to really get through her passing so that I could do what I am doing right now, which is leading TechSpark as an organization. In terms of challenges that we've had from, an organizational standpoint, is really around funding. I had been told by many people that funders and investors would never take us seriously if I didn't have a white co-founder, if I didn't have a male co-founder, if I was specifically targeting Black youth, being a Black woman, that I would never be taken seriously. And it has been very challenging because, unfortunately, some of those are truths. There are organizations out there that just, really want to focus on a very specific group. So when it comes to speaking about diversity in technology, I've always stressed the importance of understanding that diversity doesn't just mean gender diversity. It's also racial diversity. It's looking at different social classes. It's looking at ableism. It's looking at different aspects. It's not just, okay, well, we're going to get more girls, we're going to get more women into it. So kind of pushing through that was challenging as well, because a lot of it was coming from people within my own community, because that was their experience. So they put their experiences on to me. And then I had that in the back of my head. Like, if I go out there and start trying to raise funding to launch this organization, I'm going to experience challenges because of my race and because of who I was trying to help.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more, right? It's very frustrating when we look at diversity through such a narrow lens, right? It needs to cover everyone. And I love the way you put that. That was amazing.
Absolutely.
So I want to turn the conversation to allyship, right? And I want to dissect your thoughts on what it means to be an ally and discuss anti-ally culture in technology. So with that said, what does allyship mean to you?
That's a really great question. So to me, being an ally means recognizing your privilege. It means recognizing the power and the influence that you have and using it to amplify the voices of BIPOC people. It is about protecting Black bodies, Indigenous bodies. It is about supporting and listening intently with the intention of creating impact. And it also means that when the world has moved on from our pain, you as an ally are still here in the fight with us.
Got it. So has there been a time in your career where allyship or lack thereof had a major impact on you, positive or negative?
Absolutely. Just recently, I went on LinkedIn. I was extremely frustrated just with the lack of support that we were getting from, the community in terms of, raising funds to do the work that we want to do. I'm a very ambitious person, and so my goals, therefore, for my company are also very ambitious. And oftentimes, receiving the amount of support financially that we need to accomplish those goals can be quite challenging. And I took to LinkedIn to share my frustrations, and I just said, as an action item, if there's anyone out there who understands the vision, is aligned with what we're doing, and wants to help, please reach out to me. And immediately, Mark Beckles from RBC reached out to me and, asked a very important question. He said, "How can I help you? I want to help you." And I feel like it's right. And it's powerful because when people are in positions of power, they recognize that. And instead of saying, well, hey, I'll just give you this, it's what can I do to help you? I see what you're doing. I recognize, I respect what you're doing, and I genuinely want to help. And there was a very, very clear alignment between RBC and their future launch program, as well as TechSpark, as it just really just worked out very, very well. So I would say that the best description of allyship was with Mark and also Vishaan Prasad, who, they just didn't want to sign a check. It was really about how can we work collaboratively together? How can we do this work together, creating lasting, sustaining impact, which has always been a very important piece of the work that we do. It's not just about, helping that one time and saying, okay, you know what, I've done my job. But again, it's coming back to being an ally, which means understanding the trauma, understanding the pain and the struggles that we go through and being in the trenches with us. It's not about performative allyship. It's really about making those long-lasting connections. And so I would say that RBC has done an amazing job of doing that. And I'm extremely proud of what they're doing. And I'm very thankful for the platform that they've given to me and to TechSpark. And we are going to really blow it up across Canada. So I'm excited for that. And we could not do that without allyship.
That is so great to hear. Just another reason why working at RBC is just incredible, right? So there's an ongoing conversation about what men can do to support women in the workplace. Taylor, what characteristics do you think define a strong male ally to women in tech?
So a strong male ally would really start with communication. So listening, not listening to respond, but listening to understand is very key. Some of the things that men can do who have that power and influence in the spaces that they work in is asking themselves really key questions like, who's at my table? Are there women at my table? And if there are women at my table, are their voices being heard? And if they are being heard, ask yourself, are they being amplified? Or is there a way that I can amplify their voices? Is there a way that I can support the women that are in my space? And then also, more importantly, in the celebration of, Women's History Month, is really about expanding your idea of what a woman is and what they are capable of doing. It's really important to ask those questions. And I feel like answering that will really create important impact in the space that they operate in.
I agree with that. I mean, in fact, the amount of times that I sit around a table and hear men promoting men versus men promoting women, it's getting better. I mean, I would say the balance is really starting to move, but I think it's something that needs to be front of mind as well, right?
Absolutely.
Because I think one of the other areas, right, where this happens is, you tend to be friends with the people or friendly with people like yourself, right? And so you have to look outside your own self sometimes to find that diverse population of people to bring to the table. Just my own opinion here.
Right. No, and I totally agree with that. And I think that men, or just anyone in general, whenever you are trying to engage people that don't look like you, think like you, act like you, it takes work and it takes effort to do. Allyship is not something that's easy to do because there's a lot of unlearning that needs to happen. And there's a lot of listening that needs to happen. And there's a lot of action that needs to happen as well. And so doing that work, people who are very interested in being an ally and not just performing need to understand that it is going to be a lot of work and not to really look for gratification or any type of thanks, right?
No one's don't do it just to be nice, right? Do it because you want to do it.
Exactly. Because being kind is what we as humans are supposed to do. We don't do things, out of kindness because we want something back from that person. It's about doing it because I'm a human and you're a human, and kindness is what we do.
Right. So when we think about the unbalanced power dynamics that still rule the tech industry, an uneven proportion of men as founders, directors, and in the C-suite, what can men actively take on in their workplaces and management to create a culture that attracts and retains, and I mean retains, women talent?
Right. So, going back to, what I mentioned, is really about asking those key questions, because when, as a man, you ask yourself those questions, you're already making yourself aware. It's looking at the issues that women face and understanding that all women are not the same.
Right.
Our challenges are very nuanced, especially when we look at the BIPOC community. You cannot assume that because I'm Black and there's an Indigenous woman that we have the same challenges, because we don't. We can't assume, Kim, that because you and I are both women that we have the same challenges or experience barriers the same way. So these are the types of things that men really need to understand are those nuances. And again, that takes work. Also, again, just to stress, just to really look at how much they're including women that are across all the spectrums, regardless of what their gender ID is, regardless of their able-bodied or not, regardless of whether they're straight or not, regardless of whether they are of a certain social class or status. It's really just stripping those things away and changing yourself from within, because you can't really change a culture if everyone thinks the same way. You really have to do the work. And it's also really important for people to understand that when you're doing the work of unlearning, it is not the woman's job to train you. Right? We're not doing that. So if you want to ask questions and engage, great, we're here. But do not depend on women to train you. You have to do the work. You have to pick up the books. You have to expand your viewing of women. Read books by women authors, plays that are developed by women. Anything that you can to really understand that perspective is what needs to be done before we can even think of a culture shift, because that's what shifts the culture is a mindset of the individuals.
Absolutely. So that ties in with the next question, which is a little bit different, but women supporting women is another important piece of this conversation, right? So this is true across all industries, but specifically in tech, there is a culture of women viewing each other as competition or as a threat instead of potential allies and peers.
Right.
And Tamar, what are your thoughts on this culture, especially where it concerns women in management and leadership roles?
Ooh, Kim, this is a personal
tough one. That's a big one.
It's a personal one, Kim. I'm going to have to take it all the way back, give you a story. So when I graduated from Centennial College in 2007, I believe, I immediately was an intern for a really major ad corporation. And actually, before I graduated, I got hired into the company, and I had an amazing boss, probably the most amazing woman I have ever had the pleasure of working under. And the great thing about her leadership style was that she understood my potential, and she gave me tasks and responsibilities that reflected that. Now, as an assistant, there was this culture that you had to claw your way to the top. You weren't supposed to, be given access to client meetings or, doing really impactful or meaningful work on award-winning campaigns. You had to do, what you were told. And unfortunately, she had left the company and she went to work for another organization. No idea why I didn't go with her, but I decided to stay. And subsequently, her boss became my boss. And it was a complete, shift and shock to me, because then I was no longer this free, spirited person where I was just growing and just really, really flourishing in the space that was created for me and that I was actively creating for myself. I was now being pushed into this box of, who do you think you are? This is your lane. This is the area that you're supposed to be in, and that's it. You don't go to meetings without asking. I mean, when I even wanted to take workshops just to build myself as an ad professional, I wasn't allowed to. I wasn't allowed to grow. I wasn't allowed to do anything that didn't involve her. And a lot of it was just because she had this very controlling, energy about her, where it was everyone that was around her was always, sucking up to her and, being the friend with the boss because, they want to have that in. And I was never that person. I was never the person that would play the politics. I was never the person that would, pretend to like someone because they had something that I wanted. I was just myself. And if your energy is toxic, we're not going to mesh well. And so essentially, that's what happened. And, subsequently, I then left that organization and began my career as an entrepreneur because of what I experienced. So one of the first companies I started was really about how we can get, middle managers, so young people who were going to eventually become to those, rise to those higher levels in management and leadership. How can we make sure that they understand that when they're young people or when their new employees come and work under them, that they're not a threat, and that when they do good work, it makes you look good as a leader.
Right. I mean, just to add on to that, right? Like, I'm all about hiring people who know what I don't know, right?
Right.
Because that makes for a diverse, productive team. And I mean, 50% of my management team is women, and I didn't even try. I just hired the right people into the right roles there. But as we try to get that balance, I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Great. That's great. So, so Tamar, what does it look like to celebrate women in tech, right? What happens when celebration is at the core of women in tech?
That's a good question. So I would say that celebrating women in technology means amplifying our voice. It means giving us a platform to showcase who we are and to showcase the impact of the work that we are creating with individuals or communities. But again, just really that visibility is what we need. We also need support in different ways. I mean, support comes through mentorship. It comes through finances, it comes through opportunities, it comes through visibility, but really just amplifying women who are doing the good work, and most importantly, respecting the work that we do, and honoring and respecting the work that we are aiming to do in the future as well.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So one last question before we take some questions from everyone watching, and there are a lot of questions from the audience. I'd also like to extend this question to all of you watching to answer in the chat. This year, the theme of International Women's Day is #ChoosToChallenge. What are you choosing to challenge this year?
Wow. I am choosing to challenge oppressive and suppressive ideologies that stand in the way of my personal goals and my personal happiness.
I love it. I love it.
And what about you? What are you choosing to challenge?
I'm choosing to challenge status quo, right? To really try to just keep pushing the envelope and pushing forward, you know, and get my peers around the table to work with me more around how to create those diverse conversations and teams.
Amazing. Love it.
So we have some questions.
Okay.
This one's for Tamar. What do you mean by lean? How do we know if you're in the right lane?
Oh, that's an excellent question. So when I say lane, I mean, who were you and what were you designed to do in the earth? So what is your purpose? And the way that you find what your lane is asking yourself some really key questions. So who are you now? What are the things that you need to do to sustain the person that you are now and who you want to become? And really understanding that you are aligned with whatever comes your way, and that you're open to whatever is coming your way. I feel like a lot of confidence and perseverance comes from understanding and really believing that the work that you are doing is what you were designed to do, is what you were called to do. So when you are facing resistance, you're able to persevere because you know that this is where you're supposed to be, and you get the support and the resources that you need to be able to make it through on the other side.
Got it. Here's another one. Often women are looked at differently. How can we change this?
What does that mean exactly? Often women are looked at differently in comparison to men?
I'm assuming.
And how can we change how women are looked at differently? Again, I feel like it's really just about having those conversations.
Yeah, and I also would say perception is reality, so keep that in mind, right? And by the way, keep in mind. Oh, anyway, often there's a perception that women aren't skilled technologists or technical, often ruling them out before verifying their skills. Have you experienced this, and how do you overcome this?
Wow. So that is very true.
Yeah.
And that again just comes back to representation and the fact that women aren't always seen in these roles because they are dominated by men. So how you change that is being seen. It is by showcasing your talent. It is by showing the world that, this is what a technologist looks like. It's not, a bro in a hoodie. It can be, a fly woman in a hat. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
It can be anyone. It can be anyone. And I think that really just being who you are and authentic in who you are is what will help to shift those perspectives. And I mean, there are going to be those times when people are just going to have their own blinders on, and you can't always change everyone, but you can always just be yourself.
Yep. And you know what? You do look fly in that hat.
Thank you.
There you go. So what's the importance of mentorship for women in tech? And how did you choose the mentors you had throughout your career?
So mentorship is huge. I am a huge supporter and fan of mentorship. And you can never be too old or too seasoned to have a mentor because there is always someone who knows more than you. And how I chose my mentors was really, I had a really good idea of where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. And so I reached out to women that were in that space that were years ahead of me in terms of their accomplishments, even just in their experiences or age, and really just looking at them and saying, you know what they have or what they're doing is what I would love to have for myself one day, or what I would love to accomplish. And just being really willing. And I think something that mentees don't always understand, it's not about picking someone's brain, but it's really about making that person proud of the work that you're doing. So if they're giving you advice and you're taking it and you're flourishing and you're growing and you're doing amazing things, that is the one way that we can give back to our mentors, right? Because they pour so much into us, and we can pour back into them by, again, showing them and showing the world how amazing, we are because of this individual, and honoring the work that they have done with us.
That's great. So one last question. So what has been your biggest lesson learned from breaking those glass ceilings?
Wow, there's so many lessons, but I would have to say that I learned that I have very tough skin. I didn't think that I did until I went through the things that I went through. And trust me, it was hard. It was hard. There were times where I almost wanted to give up, but breaking through those glass ceilings and then seeing the results of the work that we're doing is so impactful. I mean, when we first launched TechSpark and we were sharing our ideas with funders, they didn't understand. They couldn't conceive what it was to go in and work with students and train them in technology and different skill sets. And now, they've come back to us and said, you know what, Tamar, we weren't ready yet. The market just wasn't ready yet. But what you were doing, you were so ahead of your time that now we've actually shifted the way that they look at funding. And now other groups, other grassroots groups or youth-led organizations or focus organizations can now have access to resources that they need to help those communities because of the trailblazing work that we've done. So that to me is what, helps me to know, I've done what I'm supposed to do.
Got it. And, for me, the biggest lesson I've learned is to ask for the order, because you'll never get it if you don't ask. So if you don't speak up, nobody's going to sit there and read your mind. You have to tell people what you want, how you're going to achieve it, and why they should give it to you, right?
Yeah.
Do not sit in your chair and expect people to bring opportunity to you. You got to own your career. You got to own it. Friends of that.
And if they don't give you a seat, bring your own table.
Exactly. Amen.
Bring your own table, not even your own chair.
Just bring
Build your own table. Bring your own table.
Yeah.
I cannot, there's no way that I can conceptualize how fast the chat is going right now with the audience and how many questions we got in. There is no sentence I could say to summarize the energy and the thoughts that people have had throughout this absolutely incredible conversation. Definitely one of my favorite conversations we have ever had on the TechTO stage. I think a lot of the audience is feeling the same. A few thoughts from the audience that I want to make sure that we address live. The biggest takeaway, that hat. Where did you get it? How can the rest of us get our hands on it?
Yes, so this is from Lack of Color. They are an Australian organization, and they focus on, making, handcrafting their own hats. So find them on Instagram and tell them I sent you.
Amazing. Yes, absolutely. If you order a hat, make sure you say, Tamar sent you from TechTO.
Yes.
Now, listen, I want to make sure you both hear this, because I think that it's reflective of what's happening in the chat right now. People are so thankful that you shared your stories, that you were so candid, and that you shared your thoughts with us. So much of this conversation has resonated with our audience. People want to thank you for your insight, for your inspiration, and they want to know for each of you, how can they connect with you outside of this event to continue the conversation and continue supporting you in your work?
So the best way to connect with me is definitely through Instagram at Tamar Huggins, LinkedIn, I'm Tamar Huggins Grant, and Twitter at Tamar Huggins. So follow me and we can continue the conversation there.
For me, it's LinkedIn.
Amazing. So we will get you those links in the chat. Leah's posting them now. Connect with them on all the platforms. Connect with all of us as well. The conversation does not end here. It continues both in the event and every day we celebrate women and these amazing messages. So thank you both so much. I can't wait to send you some of the messages that we got during that chat when the event's over. I think you'll have a really great time reading through how excited and motivated you made people. Again, the chat's just flooding with people saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. So thank you on behalf of everyone. We're so grateful that you were both able to join us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
All right. Wow. How amazing was that? If you're having a good time, let us know in the chat. You already are. It's going insane. But what we want to do now, before we enter the next segment of the show, is a little something at TechTO that we like to call the TechTO vibe check. You already noticed the emoji bar has changed. There's a heart, there's some claps, there's some thumbs up. Let us know how you're feeling after that conversation, and let us know what you're looking forward to continuing talking about once this event is over. You can tweet at us with the hashtag TechTO, post on LinkedIn and tag us at TechTO.org. We'll be reading all of your posts and messages after the event. Wow. Okay. I'm not sure if the emojis have ever been flying this fast. We're seeing so many hearts, so many thumbs up, lots of applause. I don't know about y'all, but I was quite literally applauding at my screen throughout most of that conversation. I really enjoyed it. And it seems like most of you did too. Thank you so much for contributing. Now, if you had a question and it was not answered, don't worry. Everybody who registered for this event at TechTO.org will get an email from us tomorrow with some exciting information and responses to even more of the questions that you sent from Tamar and Kim. And as well, if you're a TechTO insider, you'll be able to replay this event and access more exclusive information through the Insiders Vault and Slack channel. So make sure that you're a subscriber so you can access to all of that. There will be a recording of this available following the event, and more details will be coming to you tomorrow. I know I'll be listening to that conversation probably once a week, maybe every other day, who knows. Definitely feeling inspired and empowered after that. But now I want to share what is happening next, because our time together is far from over. We have 5 amazing leaders from RBC with us that are going to be continuing these conversations. So bring your energy, bring your questions, and bring your insights into these 5 amazing rooms. We have career management tactics with Christine. We have agile in practice with Shore. We have enabling the next generation of women leaders with Mira. We have entrepreneurship to corporate innovation with Shazan. And we have pivoting into tech with Penny. Those rooms are starting now for everybody watching in venue. If you're with us on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn, head over to TechTO.org/live streams. You can get access to those sessions now. For those of you joining us on our social media, thank you so much for tuning in. For everyone inside venue, let's keep the emojis going. Let's keep the energy coming. We are going to start those breakout sessions for the next 20 minutes now. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's keep things going.